I'm in Millinocket, and I'm headed roughly north. Well, first I'm going west, and then I'm going north. Usually, when I come out on these trips, I try to keep my plans pretty loose. I try and be flexible and just go with the flow. But today, it's going to be a little different. I have a very specific destination in mind, and in order to get there, I need to stick to a very specific plan. Now, this isn't a trip that I'd want to do alone. The destination is fairly remote, and there are going to be some risks involved in getting there. There are just too many variables, so I've enlisted the help of Mo and Dave. Together, we're going to the abandoned locomotives on Eagle Lake. This is a fairly popular destination. I don't mean to make it sound like we're pioneers blazing a trail through the wilderness. But I don't know exactly how far this trip is going to take me. I expect it could be as much as 200 miles. And that's a lot of ground to cover. Step one in getting there is making good time. And on these ITS trails, that's not a problem. They're wide, they're smooth, they're fast, and they're fun. I planned this trip, and I've studied the route, but the app I use for mapping isn't working today. I only have a few screenshots in my memory to go by. Mo has an on-dash GPS, so I give him a rough idea of where we need to go, and he leads the way. This section of trail was one of the highlights of the trip for me. I'm having a lot of fun trying to keep up with Mo on these twisties. I knew to cover the amount of miles that we need to, I was going to have to push my comfort zone when it comes to speed. Now realistically, Mo is driving a Ski-Doo Tundra 600 Ace. The Vector that I'm riding would eat that alive. I'm running out of skill and confidence long before I scratch the surface of what the Vector is capable of on these trails.
I think we're going west too much on the GPS.
Yeah.
And then we just passed that little trail. Is that the ungroomed? Was that an ungroomed section, or was it?
It feels like it would be going the other direction. But yeah, we definitely need to head straight north from here.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, we're going north is that way, so maybe that little trail was it.
Yeah, and it was marked, so.
Yeah.
And it would be that little brown section, right?
Right, and that, yeah, we're pretty close to that lake right here. I bet it goes right up to the lake, and then we can hit the lake and go across. Oops.
Well, it's only one thing we can do, and that's try it.
Yeah.
Yep. Give her hell.
Yeah, let's take that little trail. See where that goes.
Whatever. Yeah, no, whatever to you. As a matter of fact, David, not to show off, but whatever. Whatever. Oh, I hate little trails.
Yeah.
Can't go 70.
Yeah.
Oh. 65. I can only drive 65.
Picking your way through the woods on a tight, narrow trail will cause the Vector to overheat. It's not going fast enough to kick enough snow up into the tunnel to cool the engine down. They can do it for a while, but eventually it won't let you move anymore until it cools off. Luckily, things open up, and I can go at speed again.
This is Caribou Lake, which is the bottom arm of Chesuncook.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So we'll come right into the bottom of it.
Nice.
This road goes down, keeps on going back, it goes up that center spit that goes all the way. Is the lake house on the left-hand side of the lake?
Yeah.
Okay. This Gold Ridge Road, pass it up, Gig? Yeah. Alright then, I'm good. You keep going that way, you'll come right to Old Lemon. Okay.
Okay.
No.
What fun will that be?
Go back that way.
In looking for a place to unload, we ended up off the Golden Road on Abol Bridge. We were considering driving even further up, and it turns out we could have driven right to here, and this is the very bottom of Chesuncook Lake. This would have saved us almost 30 miles worth of snowmobiling, but it's a snowmobile trip. We're here to ride, and I'm glad we took the trails. Looks a little rough.
Follow their trail.
Yeah.
Let all the water out.
What?
Must have dropped the water level.
Oh. Now this is Chesuncook. Technically, this section of the lake is called Caribou Lake, but they're all connected. Their level is controlled by Ripigenus Dam. The dam was built in 1915 to provide hydroelectric power to the Millinocket paper mill. It ended up creating the largest reservoir ever built by private funding. Back in the day, they used to float logs from here all the way to Bangor, Maine. Once the dam was built, they used to float logs over the dam as well, but in 1971, they started trucking the lumber instead. The goal is to go all the way up the lake. That'll get us to Chesuncook Lake House. Around here, that is the only place to stop for fuel. If, for whatever reason, we can't fill up, we can't make it to the trains. we'd have to turn around. Between the two of us, Mo and I have about 6 gallons of extra fuel with us. Now that'll get us out of a pinch, but it's not enough to make the whole trip. At the very beginning of the lake, we had some tracks to follow, but we quickly lost them. Now, Mo is breaking trail. To be honest with you, at this point, I'm getting a little worried. The snow is pretty deep, and my only experience riding the Vector in deep snow ended with getting myself stuck for over an hour. This feels pretty familiar, but this time I keep on the throttle, and actually, the Vector performs better than I thought it would. Maybe I'm not giving it enough credit, but just to be on the safe side, I'm sticking as close to Mo's tracks as I can. The Vector is a really great trail sled. It's got plenty of power, plenty of speed, and it handles the corners really well. But out here, it's a little out of its element. Mo's Tundra has a long track, and it's also a wide track. In addition, his 600 is about 100 pounds lighter than my 1000. The phaser that Dave is riding also has the advantage of lighter weight and a longer track. At this point, I'm pondering my choice of vehicles. What's interesting is that when it comes to motorcycling, lightweight and trail capability is my main priority. I sacrifice power and just about everything else to ride a little 250 because it's best on trails. When it comes to snowmobiling, I've basically done the exact opposite. But that's kind of how things go. This is my first snowmobile. I had no idea when I bought it what kind of riding I would enjoy and what I'd be doing. I really enjoy the Vector, but once I figure out the kind of riding I want to do, I may end up getting something different.
Or do we go down the lower and shoot across? Not deep.
Alright, so right now we are here. We've done that across the lake.
Yeah,
we need to do that like 3 more times to get to
Chesuncook.
Yeah. Or at this point we can cut off like some more of this
I think
trail.
that's where that guy just came from.
Yeah.
I don't mind going down the lake. It's just getting harder to see.
Yeah, look very safe.
No, but I think if we go down lower where it's wider.
I don't see anything up there. Where do you?
Well, I could try it, and if I can make it, I make it, right? And then you guys can shoot across after, or vice versa.
Doesn't matter to me. You're leading. You do what you're comfortable with.
We'll just go across and see if I make it. Okay. If I make it, don't follow right through my trail. Just go beside it for a fucking throttle.
I was actually hoping that Mo would want to cut across the lake and get back on the trails. After what we've done on the lake so far, I'm just now realizing how much further we have to go. Off to the left, we actually see open water. We're not really sure the conditions of the ice. And this is Maine's 3rd largest lake. From where we are right now, to get to Chesuncook Lake House is almost another 13 miles. On the trails, that's almost nothing, but out here on the frozen lakes, with unpredictable conditions and a sled that I have yet to discover the capabilities of, that's a white-knuckle ride. Mo has discovered a pretty cool little island out here. It's really rocky, and I'm not sure there's enough room for me. I think I'll just hang back. I actually end up waiting for some time while the other two take pictures. Just as I'm starting to get comfortable with this lake riding, I start to notice gray spots. These gray spots indicate slush, and slush isn't good. It's not good at all. The danger is getting stuck. You don't get much traction in slush. It can really slow you down, and if you end up stopping, you may not get started again. After you get stuck, the slush is exposed, which means it freezes. Now you run the risk of your snowmobile freezing into the lake. Slush is caused by variations in the water and the ice. The frozen lake is a living thing. It's constantly changing, fluctuating, and moving. Changes in the temperature, the conditions of the inlets and outlets of the lake, and, of course, the dam, change the water levels. This causes the ice to move and creates cracks. The weight of the snow on top of the ice actually pushes it down into the lake. Water seeps up through the cracks in the ice and mixes with the snow, creating the slush. Even though it's pretty cold, the slush doesn't freeze. Snow on top is a really good insulator, and it prevents the cold from penetrating. The slush stays slush, despite freezing temperatures. This is crazy out here.
Awesome.
There's a common saying in motorcycling: when in doubt, throttle out. There are way more situations where a little bit of throttle will help you maintain control, and where hitting the brakes will make things worse. Riding a snowmobile in deep snow across a frozen lake where there's slush requires throttle. You need the momentum to carry you through the bad spots. All you really need to do is maintain speed. Mo, that is it. It actually doesn't feel like we've gone far enough yet, but we have. This is the Chesuncook Lake House. We made the 18 miles down the lake, and we're about to turn in for some fuel. Back in 2018, there was a fire here, which destroyed the historic 150-year-old original house. The owners are rebuilding, but it's a slow process. Unless you're renting a cabin, then this is just a place to fuel up and get some hot dogs at the food truck. Good, how are you doing?
Good. So there's a trail that's coming?
Like that way.
Where?
At the end of the lake.
Down the lake still?
Yeah. From here, it's still about 20 miles to the trains, and about 3 of it are across the lakes. Altogether on this trip, Mo, Dave, and I will do almost 50 miles of lake riding.
like soft out there.
That sucks.
It's like,
Yeah.
you see all the wet shit after I go through it?
Yeah, that's how I know where it is.
Yeah, I'm like, it like bogs down, like, oh. Yeah, look how deep the snow is. Oh my god. Yeah, my guess would be because it's this, and then it goes to Mud Pond, and then to Chamberlain.
Okay.
Really? Mud Pond's tiny.
Yeah.
So, we just gotta find where the running water and open water is and go in through there.
Sounds good.
We're gonna die. We're gonna die. Yeah.
This end of the lake, the snow is even deeper, and there's even more slush. But this is it. This is the trail, and we made it all the way down the lake. Now, it's a few miles through the woods, a short trip across Mud Pond, and then we're on Chamberlain. Chamberlain is actually pretty well traveled, and there's a well-defined trail, but it's a little rough. Of course, going it on your own means that you have to deal with the deep snow. On this ride, I do a little bit of both. Means now we're on the main part of the lake, and once again, we need to go all the way across. Conditions on lakes can change rapidly, and conditions between lakes can be completely different. On this lake, the slushy sections are completely frozen over. They're solid, and if you choose to go over them, you're in for a rough ride. Coming off the lake, there's a pretty good indicator that we're getting really close. oldest of these locomotives was built in 1897. They only operated in this area for about 6 years. When the logging operation was stopped, these locomotives were considered to be obsolete. It wasn't worth moving them. So here they sit, since 1933. There used to be a shed built around them to protect them from the elements. But in 1969, the Maine Forest Service accidentally burnt it down. The remnants of the rail cars are also out here. They haven't fared so well. And under the snow, you can hardly tell what they are. This is Eagle Lake, and you can continue right across it. There are trails over here that'll connect to other lakes where there are rental cabins. And I did actually find one that was vacant for this weekend. But, to be honest with you, it was just a little bit too pricey. So instead, we're making the trek back. But we're not going back the same way. At this point, we only have about 77 miles to the trains. We could easily turn around, go back the way we came, and make this a much shorter trip than what I had expected. But I'm not real crazy about doing the lakes again. Weather has started to deteriorate, visibility is going to be low, and I wouldn't mind getting some more trail riding in. We do have to go all the way back down Chamberlain Lake, but instead of exiting to the west, we're going east, towards Matagamon. At this point, the blowing snow and the falling snow have joined forces with the deep snow, making this an interesting ride. And just for the record, the trail didn't get any smoother the second time around.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep following you too. All the way back home.
That wasn't horrible, besides not being able to see.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
About? Crystal clear. There's the bridge, and there's a boat landing. What is it? It's the bridge. Oh, yeah? Sea Loss Road. There's a boat landing. You can put in a regular real boat. It would be nice if you came up here to camp or something. Oh, yeah. It'd be gorgeous, really.
What? The other bar's in Millinocket.
A bar?
There's a pub it's supposed to be like 300 feet from our rental.
I love you so much.
It's supposed to be. Oh.
There's a pub 300 feet from the Airbnb. Didn't I just tell them to go follow the other side of the lake? Yeah. Where the f are they going?
Who are you? You're just some random guy. You don't know anything.
That guy didn't listen to you.
Now we're off the lakes for good, and it's trails from here on out. We need to head east, then south, to get back to Millinocket. This morning, we were pretty spoiled with our trail riding. The trails were in great condition. Now it's later in the day, they've been more heavily traveled, and they're a little bit beat up. We're not making quite as good time as we did this morning, but that's alright. We've actually got plenty of time to make it back at a reasonable hour. And that's important, because I'm looking forward to sitting down for dinner at the pub. The cord to Dave's heated shield keeps coming out of the helmet, and that must be pretty annoying. They tend to fog up really fast without it. I considered wrapping the cord a couple times around Dave's neck to keep it from coming out, but instead, we just stop every now and again to put it back in. Quick check of the GPS shows that we're still headed in the right direction. And that's good to know, because I didn't actually plan a return route for this trip. I had a pretty good idea of how to get there, but as far as getting back, we're playing it by ear. Mo has been leading the way this whole trip with this GPS, and his navigation has been really good. But he really does need to stop laying down on the job, or else we're never going to get home.
Top of Matagamon right now.
Cool.
We gotta somehow get it from down in.
Alright. Based on our best estimates, it appeared like the trip up the lakes would be about the same distance as it would be going through Matagamon. Going up through the lakes was 77 miles to the trains. But here's a spoiler. Going through Matagamon was 120. My estimates of this trip being about 200 miles were right on the money. Coming through Matagamon, you actually have a lot more choices for fuel. This happens to be the most convenient, so we take the opportunity to fill up. At this point, I think we're all about ready for the home stretch. My throttle hand is starting to cramp up, and I'm having a hard time holding it steady. The snow keeps accumulating on my visor, and I have to reach up every few seconds to wipe it off. In addition, the snow is melting through my outer layers, and I'm starting to get soaked. But from here, we still have about 50 miles to go. Well,
I haven't used them.
I don't know how great my grip strength is going to be tonight, guys.
You what? Yeah, I know. I'm worried. My I know you'll come around.
I'm not sure I can hold my beer.
Oh, yeah?
We'll see.
Oh, that's what you're talking about, the beer. Oh. That's what, oh, I get it. Where are we? Almost down to Whetstone.
Oh gosh.
What's Whetstone?
The bridge that crosses Mount River.
You got a ways to go from there, right?
Out of Sherman. I don't think it's that far.
Okay.
You and I on the motorcycles went all the way down to Medway.
What?
We're going in a straight line across.
Cool.
You've been up here before?
Like 3,000 times in this area.
Really? Yeah. It all looks pretty familiar.
Oh yeah, I know exactly where we are now, right here.
That guy is unbelievable.
Your cord came out again, Dave.
Huh?
Your cord came out again.
It fucking just comes out.
Oh, full of snow.
Are you trying to melt the fucking trails?
Not anymore. I'm trying. Where is it?
You guys are good. No
It's right here.
feedback, nothing. You're all good. I have to stand up and my fucking legs are...
Yeah, there you go.
Don't stand brittle. I'm jumping around like a fucking kangaroo. That's right, baby. Yeah.
We're coming up on the bridge that crosses Whetstone Falls. This is a really cool spot, but at this point, I've been here multiple times. I've been here in the summer on my motorcycle, I've been here with my family to go wading, and I've been here on the snowmobile on a previous trip, so there's really no need to stop. The ITS trail continues south and dips down into Millinocket. It goes through the town and then turns north, heading back up to where we parked. This connector trail is 112, and this cuts across just above Millinocket, so we don't have to go all the way in. After a quick stretch break, we're ready to keep going. This is a pretty good representation of what I'm seeing through my visor. It's a heated visor, so it's not fogging up, but the snow is accumulating too fast for it to keep up. I have to keep on wiping it, or else this is all I see. The GoPro actually produces a lot of heat while it's recording. This keeps the camera warm so it'll actually function, and it also will eventually melt the snow off. It looks like this ice fisherman carries almost as much gear as Mo does. But I'm not going to say anything. Mo did carry my extra fuel for the entire trip. Dave is now slumped over his snowmobile. We'd better get back before he loses the ability to sit upright. Parking lot is a welcome sight. It means the end of our riding. But the timing couldn't be more perfect. We're starting to run out of daylight. Riding in the dark isn't a big deal, But this does mean there's plenty of time for drinks, dinner, and a night out on the town. When I go on solo trips, I go for the riding, the adventure, and the solitude. But when I come with friends, I have an entirely different reasoning. The riding's done, but there's still a lot to look forward to.
A little bit.
I guess the hell.
If I could fly, I'd pick you up. Holy crap.
Dude, I took a beating. I'm gonna be so sore tomorrow. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. You stuck? Yeah, I don't have any four-wheel drive.
God, that sucks. See ya!
Well,
Okay.
do we drag him?
Sure, I can drag him onto the road.
You want us to drag you? Yes. Okay. Let's back up to him. Take her slow. We'll drag him all the way out.
Alright. When do we know he's ready?
I don't know. You ready? All right.
Here we go. Do we have him?
Oh yeah.
It's really light. Now.
Might have to take him right to town.
Yeah. 5 miles an hour. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be a little while. Wow. Ass kicking.
Mo did in fact lose four-wheel drive in his truck, and that's unfortunate. There's at least 4 inches of fresh snow, and he couldn't even make it out of the parking lot. At this point, my Chevrolet is towing 3 snowmobiles, a trailer, and an F-150 through 4 inches of unplowed snow. Long story short, we did eventually make it to our real destination.
Oh yeah, totally.
Which was a place to sit, enjoy some good food, a few beers, and the company of some good friends.
More importantly, the beers. That looks really good.
The apartment that I rented was just big enough for the 3 of us. It was the perfect place to crash after a long day.